All right, let's try that. All right, there we go. I think. That's funny. Why is that not showing? Check, check. 1, 2. All right, let's try this real fast. All right, check, check. Is that picking up as my other mic? Check, check. Oh, it kind of is, isn't it? But that should be okay. I suppose. Yep, check, check. All right, so that should be okay. check. How's this audio sounding? If I'm talking about this level, that still sounds kind of weird, didn't it? Okay, hold on. That's correct. What about this? Oh, it's not picking that up. Okay, so that's why. Okay, now it should. All right, there we go. There we go. Hello, hello. Check. Alrighty, there we go. And we're back. All right, so if I'm picking up around here, okay, perfect. Nice. Okay, so what's up, internet? I wanted to do a little show and tell based out of an event that I did with the awesome RIT, Rochester Institute of Tech. And I want to do a little bit of talking about portfolio stuff, because I think it's something that I see a lot of different advice out there. Well, actually, I see some advice out there that I just see not a lot of people talking about it as much. But I wanted to talk about what is a game design portfolio and why do you need it? Why is it important? What do we look at? All that kind of stuff. So the TLDR is basically like when you think about your almost like application materials, you have your resume, right? You have your body of work that you put on your resume. You have stuff like your LinkedIn, anything else like that. That's like your social media presence. But your portfolio more and more is where you put your work, where you it's almost like the prove it section is kind of what I tell students to view it as. And I find that there's a couple different things that I see all the time when looking at especially student and early career portfolios that I think is one of the things to think about. So let me just pull up if this all works together. Awesome. So I want to talk about a couple different things. So one of the first things that I see, and again, this is for game design portfolios. So let's start with just game design portfolios, right? So when you're thinking about what your portfolio is, a couple things that it is and a couple things that it isn't, right? So when you actually think about what a game design portfolio is, it shows your work, right? It shows your work, shows the kind of things that you've been done. I think of it as like the prove it kind of section of like, hey, like if you're telling me on your resume that you have experience in, this type of game, you have experience in this engine, your portfolio site is where I essentially get to see as the recruiter when I look at things and see, hey, this is the actual stuff that proves it, proves the things that you put on your resume. It's not just the AI generated resume out there that I can actually see, hey, this person actually did put a game together and do it. A couple of the other things, it still is something that says essentially like this is what I want to do. So I think it's still something that you can still kind of tweak a little bit. One of the things that is not, actually I should put that shows your work, it's the prove it section. It is not a resume. So I think one of the things that I see sometimes happen on a portfolio site is not a good delineation of resume versus actual work. We'll talk about that more in a second. What else is it not? The portfolio is also not something where especially on the student early career side, it's not everything is what I'll put on here. It's not necessarily something that should be every single thing you've ever done. You can still kind of tweak it a little bit. I think early on when I see normally younger students put together portfolios, I think I see them a tendency to just put everything on there. So put on your, whether it's like a, card game, board game that you made, if it's something that's a bit more basic, all the way up to your actual shipped products, anything that's on itch, anything that you actually put on Steam. But the tendency I see sometimes to put everything on there, and I think sometimes I see stuff where it's art plus game design plus production plus maybe code samples and coding, and at a certain point it's helpful if it is a bit more focused. Couple things that I like to think about when you think about game design portfolios, if you think about it as kind of, again, this is your body of work, right? You have your portfolio. Over here you're also going to have your resume, and again, your resume is almost like grabs the attention. It's the thing that you're first applying with. Grabs attention. We're going to say skills and bullet points is the way to kind of think about it, right? Skills and bullet points, metrics, obviously metrics. So KPIs, anything that you can put on there that, you know, shows kind of impact, and I'm also going to say skills on here too, skills and softwares. So the resume again is the thing that says, hey, what is the thing that the recruiter is going to see first. It's often the thing that's going to get in there at the begin with, right? But your portfolio is over here. And one of the things that I always think that the portfolio should essentially kind of live between would be your is kind of your almost like a body of work. So these are all your personal projects, right? That's like personal projects, professional projects, things you've shipped. So this is all, when you kind of think about this as like the circle or Venn diagram of all the things that you're working on as someone who's applying to different roles. When you start with a resume, this is kind of where grabs the attention. Things are skills and bullet points, things like this. If I were to go all the way over here and add in a section for cover letter, a cover letter is often, you know, it's kind of more narrative. It's like storytelling. It's like, hey, this is why I'm invested. The best cover letters aren't just your resume over again. The best cover letters are things that are a bit more, yeah, like show why the values of the company align with yourselves, right? It's like, hey, if you have a story of, you have a tattoo of the character of the company, you know, put that in the cover letter. Why not? Like, it's something memorable, right? It's memorable, unique is the kind of cover letter. Memorable and unique, you know, but kind of more on the narrative side. It's a bit more flowy. It's less, I always tell students especially, don't just rewrite your resume in a letter form, you know, have it be something that is a bit more storytelling, is a bit more something that's going to be reading. The portfolio should be kind of in the middle of those two things as far as like cover letter and resume, right? Where the cover letter narrative, you might talk about like why you became a game designer, why you're in this mode. Your resume is kind of the prove it. Your portfolio should be kind of somewhere in the middle, showing your work, proving it, having some skills and softwares and things like that, and kind of being in that middle. So I think it's okay sometimes on your portfolio to go into like design process, right? But I think it's also something that is going to be, you know, something that you have to be careful of not going too far. The other thing I'm going to put down here is essentially a game design doc. GDD, if you are working on this is often super thorough. Can I spell thorough? I can, I think. I'm not going to question that. Super thorough. It often isn't just you. When you're working on a game design doc, it's not just you. Full game, tons of features. So the other thing, I'm kind of putting this all around. Let's see if I can get a circle here. Yeah, let's go mixed media here. The thing again that your portfolio needs to be is kind of in that middle of all of these different things combining, right? So sometimes I see portfolios that come up and they essentially look like game design docs, where it's, hey, this is the game I designed. Here's everything I did on it. Here's all the cool features. There was 2 artists, other designers on here, right? It gets very thorough and it gets hard to tell what you specifically were responsible for. So the biggest advice that I'd say is that when you're looking at a portfolio, think about it as all these kinds of things, but operating kind of in the middle, right? So it's your body of work, right? This is the stuff you're doing. So at the end of the day, I always tell students, make sure you're working on stuff, make sure you're working on games. Don't skip on the resume. Your resume is kind of the prove it point of bullets and metrics and skills and software is basic competency. It's kind of the way to think about it. Your game design docs for your body of work is the things that are like super thorough, deep dives, really going into depth about some mechanics you built or how you're working with VFX or lighting, whatever it was, you know, the specific thing that you did. And then your cover letter is often the narrative or story. Why are you here? Why do you do what you do? What are your influences? You know, what was that first game that really grabbed you? That's kind of the things to think about in terms of like all these different pieces. But your portfolio kind of lives in the middle of those and ends up acting as like almost a combination of all of these things here. So all that said, let's move on to kind of my next point here. So what to do for a portfolio. Before we even, I'm going to show some examples here in a second, but before we even dive into examples, one of the things I want to start with is essentially say, don't reinvent the wheel. I see this all the time for student portfolios, they kind of feel like, hey, like part of the portfolio process, I need to build my own website from scratch, I need to own it, I need to do this. The reality is, in my personal opinion, if you're applying for roles and the roles don't involve working on websites, I would say you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You don't need to build your own website to have a portfolio site. You can just kind of focus on what works, right? So I'm going to say, don't reinvent the wheel. Look at references is one of the big things that I tell students a lot. Find references, find especially people that are in your discipline, find people that are especially in your discipline that can search, literally just Google. We're going to go over what I Googled a couple minutes ago, but Google game design portfolios, go on LinkedIn, find some of the companies that you most look up to and respect, look up their people, find people in the positions that you want to be in, see if they have a portfolio site listed, and then see how they lay things out. You're not the first person to come up with how do I put a level design portfolio together. You're not the first person to do that. So find your references, find what has worked for other people, especially employed people at the jobs you want. And I always say, okay, so the other thing I'll say is highlight best work to a point. We're going to talk about this more too in a second. So this kind of goes back to what I said earlier, but this is one of the things that I do see in some portfolios where essentially I see students sometimes put everything on there. And if you put everything on there, it's hard for a recruiter when I'm looking through your portfolio to find what is the best thing I should look at from this person. If there is one thing that you could show me, what is that one thing, right? Sometimes it's hard for me to say that. And I, talk to students, I'm like, show me best thing. And they're like, well, it's one of these 3 things. Make that clear on the website. Make sure there's like a highlight of like highlighted works, your most recent works. Highlight, we want to see what your essentially your ceiling is, right? We want to see what you're capable of for your ceiling. That being said, I do think it's okay to show some WIP, some work in progress pieces, as long as you have results. I know I am, so notorious for starting projects and not finishing them, but I think when you do show works in progress, and we'll show some examples here in a second, but when you do show works in progress, sometimes seeing your process can be really helpful. If I can see this person going from like the gray box level design that looks super basic, or even like the hand drawn like sketch of like, hey, this is what my level should look like, then see how they build upon that, see how they bring an artist, see how they collab, and then all of a sudden see their finished project. That's often a really cool thing to see, is that kind of finished project there as well. And the thing I don't want to see, especially from the student's perspectives, I know you're building, you're starting what your portfolio piece, you're building a lot of those things. It's tough to when there's not anything finished, right? One of the things that I definitely recommend as a student, trying to finish something, finish a thing, show that you've gotten a project all the way to completion, whether that's releasing on Steam, whether that's just finalizing a project. Make sure to finish something. Let's actually put that on my list as well. Finish something. It can be all sorts of different things. It doesn't have to be anything particular, but finish something is one of the definitely one of the other things that I recommend for the student sites on the portfolio. Okay, so we have done everything. We'll look at references, highlight best work, show that works in progress as long as you have results, finish something. The other thing, let's keep on going back here. How do I say this? Think about it from the recruiter's perspective. So I think this is something I talk a lot about, and kind of just understanding what the process is, right? So let's actually let's do a recruiter process down here as well. But think about it again from someone that's not as familiar with your work, someone that doesn't know you, someone that has no idea who you are or what you've done, someone who's no idea where you put things on the website. So website navigation there's a reason why that's a whole job. It's like website UI, UX design, right? Think about it from someone who's going to the website, they have no idea who you are, no idea what context, they don't know your school, they don't know what projects your school does, they don't know the naming conventions of your school, they don't know that, oh, we're not to pick on DigiVen, but we're the dragons and we do this kind of stuff and the dragon's nest, and we don't know that, right? So think about it from the recruiter's perspective. First impressions, what did they see? All right, let's talk a little bit about recruiter process now too. So typically, obviously, resume is key. When you're applying to roles, you're going to submit your resume. Make sure, especially if you're doing like a game design or art role, make sure your portfolio link is easy to use. But resume is key. Resume is where it all gets started, right? Let's do that. Make sure your portfolio link is easy to use and front and center, especially if you're game design, especially if you're game art. we pull up the, when I'm looking at applications, I pull up the resume and then I pull up your portfolio pretty much instantly all together, right? You'd be amazed at how many portfolio links I clicked on that just didn't work. This is one of their chances, right? First impressions. That's one of the things that we do think about a lot. First impressions, does it work? But typically by the time I'm getting to this, I scan resume first and I say, hey, am I seeing stuff that has the basic competencies of the role, right? I'm looking for a game designer, I'm looking for a game artist, I'm looking for someone that has proficiency on Unreal, I'm looking at someone that's done level design, I'm looking for someone that maybe some work in Blueprints, maybe some work in C++, maybe has shipped a game, maybe has done a first-person action adventure game specifically. Like, I think sometimes for students it is really helpful to put genre and put what you're working on. It can be really helpful when we're looking at specific people for specific games. But I start with the resume, right? And I essentially, from my process, I'm trying to say, hey, cool, they looks like they have the basic things that I'm looking for, the competencies that I'm looking for on the role. Can I pull up their portfolio? And again, I'm going to kind of say it again, but prove it. Can they prove to me that the thing on the portfolio they're talking about actually exists? Do they have examples? Do they have something that I can see in front of me and see if it kind of matches what we're looking for? So once we get it to portfolio, then I'm looking for a few things. I'm essentially looking to see, let's say what I look for. Now I'm going to change that. What a recruiter. I'm actually going to add hiring manager on here as well, because if you do make it past the initial stages and the hiring manager, again, it's not something that the recruiter looks at. The hiring manager is obviously, you're going to look at these portfolios as well. Look for. So they're going to look for a couple different things. So let's keep on moving on here. Oh, there's my text box. First time using this whiteboard app. Okay, what a recruiting hiring manager looks for. Like I said, they're going to look for finished projects is one of the biggest things. Finished projects. They're going to look for highlights. You know, what are kind of the overview, ceiling, essentially what's the quality level, like what's the quality level of some of these best pieces. They're going to look at breadth of work, ability, right? Sometimes we want someone that can be a bit more generalist, and we want someone that has quite a lot of different things. So all of these pieces in your portfolio should serve to kind of highlight some of these things about it, right? Are they a finished project? Does it show, hey, did you do some environment art? Did you also do some concept art? Did you design a level, but did you also design like a progression system? Put those things in there. It's cool things to look at and talk about. So let me go back up to the top, just kind of show. So these are all things that I think to think about, and coming back to this again, right? This is, again, all of these things kind of come together in your portfolio. But let's actually go through and look at some examples. And one of the things I feel almost bad saying this, but again, just Google it. Find, best game design portfolios Reddit. Ask ChatGPT if you're of the ChatGPT person. I still kind of am more on the Google side and trying to do as much as I can to learn. But whatever you do, try to find examples. Try to find examples of people out there, right? After just a couple minutes search, here's some examples of people that I see out there. And a lot of these are more veteran, right? A lot of these people are kind of aspirational. But the point is, again, you're not the first person to build a portfolio. Can you find something that says, hey, how else can I put these on here and take inspiration, and what do I highlight? Don't reinvent the wheel. Find someone that's done it before. So a couple things that I like. So, well, before I get too excited about this, so let me pause there. So those are all things that we're going to talk about for the portfolio, right? Again, all these things are things to think about. But once you kind of get to examples, let me just kind of talk through some examples and show what I see and what I look for when I look at some portfolios. A couple things that's really helpful. Again, I don't have these guys' resumes in front of me, but looking at these guys, one of the things I like about this guy a lot is that he clearly says what's the type of stuff he does. Obviously, as a student or early career folk, you may not have the breadth of experience of someone who's had 25 years of doing this, but you could still say, hey, I'm a level and systems designer, or I'm an artist, or I'm a writer. Make it easy for me at a glance to say, oh, cool, this person, this is what they're focused on. I talked about, and I know DigiPen bakes this into this curriculum, but the T-shaped professional be able to have the kind of wide understanding of a lot of different things, but still have that specialization. Show me what you're specialized in, because that'll help me as I'm looking for that. I like that a little bit of like a highlight section here where it kind of says, hey, here's the big things that I have. Obviously this kind of stuff will link to specific sites. But one thing that I like that I think anybody can emulate is this idea of kind of, once you're on your portfolio site, do a little something like project based. Like, I like this a lot, where it has project, it has contributions. This is one of the things I really think is cool, is that it says level designer. Cool. I know he's worked on a level designer for a VR, VR game in here, in Source 2, and he has engine and tools. This is, again, something I think is a really good thing to do on your portfolio site, is have it structured. If you have different student projects, if you have personal projects, if you've shipped stuff on Steam, have kind of like a cool overview page like this, but show me at a glance level designer, platforms, reception, impact if you have it, released on Steam. Students, often one thing I recommend for students is showing like, hey, size of team, what's the size of the team that you're working on, how many people did you collaborate with. Collaboration is a huge skill no matter where you end up. And again, engine and tools are the things that are on there too. And then once you kind of get to that specific thing, you could still have this again, where if we look back at this, kind of thinking through that game design doc, how do we kind of make it in the middle of the game design doc in the resume? You could still have that specific project page where you do a more in-depth summary and contributions. Again, stuff that's maybe a bit more closer to like a game design doc. It's a bit closer to like a narrative form of like, hey, we were a team of 5 working on a first-person horror game that mixed action elements and RPG roguelike elements. So when you do that, cool. There's a couple things that I see students do all the time for this. I don't mind seeing like a summary of contributions or like a more in-depth piece on a project. In fact, I actually like seeing that. I see students all the time tell me what the student team was responsible for. The student team responsible for instead of what they were responsible for. It's great to highlight collaboration. It's great to say, hey, like this is the stuff that I worked on. I worked with an artist. I worked with programmers. I worked with a narrative designer. Awesome. Tell me that. But then also make sure to say the specific things that you were responsible for, right? Like inherited system for AI system iteration, sole designer to the PC port. Tell me the cool things that you specifically were responsible, especially if you can prove it by saying impact, right? Like putting numbers on it, putting a KPI, quantifying your impact is big there too. A couple things I also like, we'll talk about this in a couple others, but I like seeing pictures and screenshots, especially if it's stuff that's easy. Gameplay I think is a gameplay design. Game design, sometimes you have the easy stuff because you can say, hey, cool, I made, this level with the corpse hanging out there and, the lights flashing and I put all this together, or this cool flashy ability of a plasmid exploding and shooting out fire. Like I did that. You sometimes, like an artist, you sometimes have really cool things to show. Other times you're like a systems designer and you're like, I developed a whole technical system on progression that is a bunch of an Excel spreadsheet and, weapons balancing, which is numbers and percentages, right? A little bit harder. You could still show me examples of maybe the sheet that you created for weapons balancing, right? Did you have a couple, what was your process for balancing weapons? Can you put something in there, even if it's not a flashy game screenshot? Can you do a screenshot of your work or the software that you use? If you're a narrative designer, show me your branching dialogue trees. Show me the kind of things you're working on there. All kind of cool stuff to see on a portfolio for a project specific. Videos are cool too. The other thing I do see sometimes with student teams is that they just put a video on there. If I just see a video on your project and you don't have an explanation of what you did, it's going to be hard for me to say like, hey, this is a video or it's a trailer. It's going to be hard for me to say, okay, well, what part of this trailer video do you actually do? If you're a game designer, you show me your trailer, doesn't tell me much about what your actual impact is and what you're familiar with there too, right? And again, this guy's obviously had a great experience on one of the, best games of all time. But I think, again, he's kind of showing his process, right? And so I think this is where I tell students the difference of like your resume, again, is impact. It's over here. It's kind of the numbers. Your game design doc is the whole process. Can your portfolio kind of be in the middle and say, hey, like maybe I'm not going to tell you entirely how about this game design process, but I'm going to show a little bit more about it than in my resume. So I like this guy's a lot. Again, Dean Tate, his stuff's on the website. On Google, just search Dean Tate. Let's do a couple other people that I just found here. I wonder, these guys almost look like they're using the same template. Which actually brings me to another point, and I think I put this on there too. Don't reinvent the wheel, right? If you find a cool website template, again, unless you're someone whose job is about making websites, make it as stress-free as possible for you to show your work. If you're spending more time, my rule of thumb is if you're spending more time designing your website, fixing your website, worrying about fonts and spacing and fixing that than you are designing a game, you probably want to be thinking about using more like a website like Wix, Wix.com, Squarespace, anything else that makes it easier on yourself, right? You obviously can use Git and build your own website from scratch, but if you're spending more time on your website than you are the games, focus more on the games. So it's funny to me that these guys look like they're using the same the portfolio site here. So a couple things I like about this guy. Obviously, he's worked on some cool stuff too. Shows his year. Sometimes that can be helpful just to kind of for us to get a gauge of the types of things that you've done and the experiences you've had. This is a great little section to do, especially for early career students, is show me easily accessible your technical experience, right? Show me the things that you're able to see on, show me the things that you've worked on. Show me the things that your tech stack, whatever else it is. Other experiences, cool. Local improv company, that's awesome. Credits, great. If you're on a student project, show me your different student projects, and tell me what it is. Sometimes the student projects I see, they'll have like a credit section like this, or they'll list their game. And again, I have no idea what your game is, so tell me tell me what 007 Legends is. Is it a first person action adventure game? Is it a top down roguelite? Tell me what that is on the site there too. It can be really helpful. And again, he kind of has a similar thing here too, where he cool, as kind of on the game design doc, he has the game design doc linked. Sometimes that can be helpful to look at. It can be interesting for us to see kind of again the design process for stuff that potentially is more of a group project. Again, I just caution you to be intentional about what you're doing versus what the group's doing. But I really like here that he's got the overview, right? Don't assume as few clicks as possible to show your cool stuff, right? If you're putting your cool stuff on there and it takes like 4 different clicks to find your navigation, then a link here to another link, think about that kind of friction you're creating. Again, just the reality of the world we live in. Try to make things as frictionless as possible there. But I like this overview thing a lot. Landed on Twine. Twine's really cool if you're doing anything with like narrative pieces. And again, it's not a gameplay screenshot, but it is a screenshot of his like branching narrative. So I like seeing stuff like this. Again, show me a little bit of your process. You're not showing me the whole behind the scenes, but you're showing me a little bit about the process there. Yeah, so I like this method too. Even if it's just the same page, it's obviously not different project paces for this, but it's the same page. Easy for me to see what it is. Little overview, especially his contributions and technology used is very helpful. Almost I just want to see more of some of the actual games than just this though. But yeah, sometimes that doesn't link to. Another thing I see pretty commonly from the student perspective here is essentially I almost want to call it like the itch.io effect, where your portfolio, they have a little bit of a blurb and then they just link to the itch.io page. One of the big things I'm going to say, and I'm actually going to add this to my thing. Where should I do this? Let's do it here under the process. And this kills me to say, but don't assume they will play your game. One thing I think, again, as game designers, it's always like, hey, like I built the game, put it on itch.io, they can boot it up themselves. Unfortunately, that's not always the case, and sometimes even again, it's hard for me to see what you actually did if I just go in and click play and start playing an itch.io game. Again, I'm not entirely sure of what you were responsible for. So having stuff that's more project based, stuff that's highlights, anything like that can be a little bit better. Again, don't just put in an itch.io page and assume they're going to play your game. Make it easier for them. Can you do gameplay highlights? Can you put GIFs? I've seen people put GIFs and like videos in their project overview, but have the project overview, make sure you have things noted there. Still include the link if they want to, but don't assume they're going to play your game, unfortunately. Let's look at Sean here. Again, cool GIFs here. And is this his homepage? One thing, again, I always think about is like, what is the homepage? What's the first impression people are getting? Recent projects, awesome. Currently working, Suicide Squad. Level design, again, super easy for me to see titles. One thing I see at some other schools too, don't be afraid to tell me the title that you work, right? Again, shout out to DigiPen. DigiPen, I think, trains this really well for their students of like, hey, you have the job title level designer as a student working on a student project because that's what you did. Put that on your resume. Some other schools, I think, when I really encourage students to like dive deeper into potentially the thing they're doing in their student project and make sure that's kind of reflected on, your actual resume and things like that. Let's look at personal work for a little bit example. This is kind of a cool thing. Again, this will be a lot of student direct reel as a lot of personal work, and this is again why I say yeah, awesome. Final year project at university, final submission, awesome. So this again, you know, this is going to be pretty similar to a lot of like students and early career folks. Is like, how can you have a project even if you're not working full-time at a game studio? Can you have some big projects to finish that are essentially your portfolio pieces, right? So for this one, a realistic environment using UE4 tells me exactly what he did. Environment artist, level designer, awesome. He's got images here. Awesome. Anything like this, ArtStation trending. If you're an artist, use ArtStation. That's the shortest tip I have for you. Use ArtStation. The Rookies is a really cool organization to check out too. If you haven't checked out the Rookies before, I definitely recommend googling them. But again, he's got really cool highlights and things here too. Some details on walkthroughs. I like seeing stuff like that. And he's got YouTube. Awesome. I was just about to say, I hope that there's a little bit more to this than just the pictures. Internet connection struggling a little bit, but all this stuff is again easily packaged, easy to read about. There's more if you want to go even deeper and read about that. I like that too. But again, he didn't assume that I'd go to the blog. Had a very nice personal project there too to look at. I really like. So again, let's wrap up a little bit here. One of the things that if you're fighting your website design more than spending time on game design, try to find something else. Wix is really common. I see a lot of people doing portfolio sites on Wix. Obviously Squarespace, the good old podcast favorite here, something else to look at. Whatever else you can find to kind of look at your different examples here. Google it again. I hate saying it sometimes, but like find out what other people are doing. Don't reinvent the wheel. Find out what other people are doing. Talk to people around you. But again, if you're finding yourself thinking more about the LinkedIn, or not the LinkedIn, but like the spacing, the kerning, and format of your blog, try to reduce that barrier so that you can just show off more of the stuff that you're actually doing on the other side here. Okay, so I think that's really the main things I wanted to talk about today was portfolio. Obviously, I will, kind of put all these things together. But I think that's one of the biggest things there to talk about is thinking about, again, don't assume you have to reinvent the wheel. Trying to think about it from the recruiter's perspective. How are they going to look about it? That's one of the biggest things that I like to see as far as portfolio goes. What's up? What's up, the homie Gil? What's up? One other thing, again, I just don't know if people are as aware of this. And again, this can be a little bit harder to find. But again, on the subject of not reinventing the wheel, one of the things I tell students to do all the time too is if you're like, wow, where do I even start? One of the things you can do on LinkedIn, and again, why I think having a LinkedIn is important, is going to LinkedIn, going to this people tab. Once you're on this people tab, this will show you people that are associated with Bungie, right? And this can be a really good way to start looking at what people are doing as far as portfolio stuff in the disciplines that you're wanting to look at too. Besides that, it could also be a really good way to just kind of get other connections out there, right, that are actually working on stuff. But if you look at Peter, you can actually then see, hey, does this person have a portfolio? I'm always amazed at people that don't have portfolios easily accessible on here. Obviously, sometimes that has to do with NDAs and what people can show. But even in the way that he structured his LinkedIn, this is something to think about for students and things like this too. Even if you don't have your portfolio link on here, again, for standard veteran folks versus early career folks, it could be a little different. But look at how he structured his stuff in his actual skills here too. In his actually descriptions, he's going to tell you what I did. He's going to have, media on here. So it looks like trailers and things like this that he did. You could do this with your LinkedIn as well. Tell me what you did. But obviously, instead of being art director at Bungie, you could be student projects, right? Have this project section here. That can all be stuff to look at as far as kind of what goes on your LinkedIn. Because again, often when I'm looking at a resume and early careers folks, it's like pull up the resume, click on LinkedIn, click to open the portfolio, all that kind of thing there. Awesome. Homie Gil, community management. Awesome space being community management. Community management is interesting. There's not as much of a portfolio requirement that I've seen for community management. I think a LinkedIn is a really good place to start with obviously the community management you're going to see there. But for better or for worse, I don't see as much of a requirement for portfolio as far as like, you know, compared to game design or game art. What I will say for community management is that your resume piece is going to be big. If we go back to like this section here, your resume and your KPIs is going to be something, I'm sure you're already thinking about it, but like the skills and metrics and the impact that your social posts and that your community management post is going to be big, kind of instead of a portfolio from what I've seen when I'm looking at community management. But the other cool thing that I think about community management, when I think about that for students, one of the coolest things that I think is helpful for people that are kind of trying to do this for community management is that you have so many opportunities to just do this work. Game jams, there's a bunch of different orgs. I almost want to do a whole separate stream on like discords and discord servers, because I think the discord has just been such a big like equalizer for game dev in a lot of cool ways. And whether it's like modding for a discord server or modding for, you know, whether you're modding for someone's Twitch chat and like a streamer, like all of that stuff is stuff to be thinking about for community management, and experience, again, that you can just go out and start doing. Like you don't have to have, you know, obviously you need to have some experience, or you need to find the right group to kind of grow. But, you know, anybody can start a Discord server, anybody can start streaming. Obviously I've just started streaming recently. But the community management piece is cool, because it's whether you're community managing for a brand, whether it's for like, you know, a big tech company or a gaming studio, there's a lot of like correlations across the beginning that all things kind of start off with. So for community managers, my advice is always, okay, like find a way to do community management, whether if you can be, I'd be curious, homie Gil, if you you know, if you're doing anything right now that I could also recommend other students to do. But like, you know, are you in a Discord server somewhere? Are you doing something with your school? Even I know a lot of times I see community managers at their school help out with like their career center, things like that. Anything like that would be something that I'd recommend for the community management side. Very, very cool. All right, so I think we talked about, so let me go back to my list here. We talked about game design docs, talked about cover letters. I'll talk about cover letters just a little bit. I won't talk about it too much. Sometimes for community management, you might see roles that actually ask for cover letters a little bit more. Cover letters, again, are a way to kind of show if resumes on this side of the thing for bullets and metrics and KPIs, cover letters are kind of almost like the values piece. And so sometimes for community managers, I have seen cover letters be required, because they're essentially trying to say, hey, you might know how to run a community, you might know how to you know, work on stuff like this, but you know, why do you want to work for Bungie? Why do you want to work for that game company? Why do you want to work for Activision, right? And it's kind of the why. I should put that on there too, actually. It's kind of the why. The why. Man, I'm gonna have to like make a whole graphic for this, I think. The why of what you do, and then your resume is almost like the what of what you do. Ah, nice, you're a chinker. Oh man, Brandon is awesome. Love that dude. Great last name as well. Yeah, Brandon Davis, great last name. Hard to find a banter. Awesome. Yeah, especially junior year. Man, if you're already doing this kind of stuff junior year, I think you're doing a lot of things right. Especially, yeah, anything running Discord. Discord is I've been a little surprised the last couple of years to see just how important Discord is to a lot of community management pieces. I think it's been something that's obviously, when you think about traditional community management, I think they get lumped in with social media a lot. And there's an overlap with social media, but there's not like, I think community management uses social media for a lot of different purposes there too. But yeah, anything you can do right now is going to be, you know, kind of a great start there too. And in your cover letter, so this is what I tell, and again, it's one of those things where often the cover letter, so I start with the resume, is how I kind of look at it from the recruiter perspective, and Brandon will say this too at the DigiPen side, but your cover letter being the why of what you do, if you can find, as a community manager, your whole focus is like bringing other people together around, whether it's that studio, whether it's that, you know, that company, whatever it is, connecting people, being authentic, right? This is one of the things that like I feel like my generation and below can really tell when brands are being authentic or not. But it's like the why of what you do comes out in that cover letter. So finding value pages, finding values, finding cool things about a company that like relate to what you're doing. That's kind of one of the things that I see sometimes people talk about in the cover letter side of things. And I doubt, I'm just going to kind of like start looking at community manager pieces here. Let's look at Andy. I don't know Andy. Oh man, Andy. Yeah, Andy shows up a bunch in all the marathon videos if you're excited for marathon. But again, I don't. Yeah, I'd be shocked if he doesn't look like he has a portfolio. So what you're gonna see, and again, as a junior, I think you got, you know, junior and younger, you have plenty of time to start looking at some of this stuff. Like, see what people have on their LinkedIn's, see the kind of things he built. Again, this almost kind of acts as like a community manager's portfolio a bit more than you actually don't need a portfolio site. But like, look at how the things that he's responsible for, he's putting in. He's putting in videos, he's putting in media. As they're kind of building stuff, if there's ways that you can even find with like clan management to say like, hey, like we built our clan from this many people to that many people. If you do anything like live events in your Discord, if you do anything like that, those can be things to look at. And the other things that I'd be curious for that, if you go to like ASGC, I'm sure you've probably heard Brandon talk about this too. But one of the things, if you already have some Discord experience, one of the things that could be helpful is to try to find other resources. Essentially say like, hey, what are other Discords out there that are maybe more focused on game jams and maybe more focused on game communities that I could start being a part of? Even if it's just starting to be part of, can you start finding other places? Like, I know like obviously the ASGC Amir Safat is a huge section. Entry level is really cool that I like a lot. I did a little like resume presentation with them. But like one of the things that I might look at, especially as you're kind of starting to get, if you're really wanting to dive into community management, maybe are there other interests and other places that are a bit more on the game dev side, not just kind of the streaming and the clan side, that you can start using those skills you're taking from Discord management to kind of apply to more of the game jam, the game dev side of things here too. It might be something to look at just again to get that kind of practical experience you're looking at there too. And the other nice thing again is as you're looking for internships, if you're doing community management and marketing side of things, you have a much broader library of potential internships to look at than potentially for game design, because you can get super valuable experience being in brand or marketing and being in places like that that are more on perhaps the general tech side than just gaming, which is nice. Yeah, good questions. All right, anything else to add on this that I want to talk about? Okay, body of work, professional projects. I think that's probably where I'll leave this video for now. I'm probably gonna chop this up, put this on my YouTube, try to have a little portfolio video on there. Any other questions for the homie Gale over here? Or I probably take a break and pop over to some Deadlock, because I am very obsessed with Deadlock. Man, if you're still there, the homie Gale, the other thing, or anybody that's entry level student looking their career, find senior people at the companies you want to look for and see where they got started. Like, again, this is all on LinkedIn, right? See where they got their start. This could give you ideas for where to look for internships, for where to, kind of get your start as well. PC Gamer, they're still around. Kind of gives you an idea of what he's looking at. I always think it's super interesting to go back to people's first jobs on LinkedIn, especially people that have been in the industry for a while, and see, kind of track their progression, right? Again, sometimes it can give ideas or show companies that you're not on the radar that you can kind of find from there as well. Cool. Well, I'm gonna again chop this up, put this on YouTube for any potential future YouTube watchers. This has been Talking Through Portfolios. Thank you for joining. I'm gonna chop this up, do some light editing on it, but I'll try to keep this pretty clear as far as save this and keep adding to this for the future. But again, if just TLDR portfolio stuff, I think the biggest things that I'd recommend for students is don't overthink it. Show your work. Can you find that thing that's kind of the in between of all these different other aspects of kind of your application materials? Can you find references in your discipline that are doing the different things that you're doing? See how they highlight their work, see how they, talk about what they've done. But one of the things I think the I should add this in here too. One of the things I do see a lot is the kind of diminishing returns. Diminishing returns. Let's add that in there too. I see people that I think spend just way too much time on their portfolio site. And again, at a certain level, you're just gonna have to like put on what you have on there and then keep on getting more stuff. Like I think the other thing that I see sometimes from students and my career folks is, again, trying to maximize what they have on that, maximize what they have instead of going off and doing something there too. So I think about diminishing returns there as well. Ooh, good question. What's the thing you see from hires that impresses the most / makes hiring them make sense? Community management focus. Let me say that one more time because it's late. I'm getting tired. My brain's not working. Okay. What's the thing you see from hires that impresses the most, makes hiring them make sense? Community management focus. Cool. Community management, I think, is one of those cool things where I think there's obviously a lot of KPIs and things you can prove, right? If you're in community management, let me make a whole new tab for this. This is great. I've been testing out this new whiteboard software, so let me make a whole new thing. So what makes community managers, I'm just going to say hireable or impressive. Hireable / impressive. I don't know. That's totally a word. What are you talking about? Hireable? That's totally a word. A couple things I will say. So for community management, I think it's hard for me to not say the numbers don't matter. So I will say the numbers and metrics is something that I think, this is why tracking whatever you do. So when I think of numbers and metrics for community managers, it's often saying, all right, what, well, actually I should say this first, softwares and programs. And then I'm going to say numbers and metrics at the bottom. So softwares and programs, I think of it like this. What have you used? Like, what have you done? When I say community management, what does that look like to you? Right? So Discord is obviously really big, especially on the gaming side. Managing social media in general, that'll go for Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, X, whatever you're using. Social media. Community management can also be, I'm trying to think of anything else that kind of can fall under the umbrella. It can be videos, it can be live streams. So I'll just put like videos / live streams. So it's basically, you know, one of the first things I'm going to look at for hireability is saying, like, what does this person know? What is this person experienced with? You know, what's their skill set? Then I am going to look at numbers and metrics. So then I will start looking and say, all right, like, if you are a part of a community and you've grown that community from like 5 to 50, that's what is that? I'm terrible at math. 5 to 50 is a 100% is a 10,000% growth, a big growth, right? Even if it's just 5 to 50, is there something you could show about growing that Discord community from there? If you get an internship at any social media, at any company, and you know, so many people are doing marketing and like needing people to do social media stuff. Can you track those metrics? There's one of the biggest things that I think for community managers and social media managers is community and almost like data analysis side of things. I think it's easy for people to think of community managers as just like, oh, they're just the people that go on Twitch, or they're just the people that like get to make cool TikToks, or like, you know, all the fun stuff, for lack of a better term. But the reality is, like, a lot of community management is analyzing data. It's saying, hey, we did this post, it had this impact. So I think about like numbers and metrics when I say like impact, for lack of a better term. You know, what is the impact of the things that you're working on, whether it's social media and assets, whether it's followers and growth. These are all things to be kind of thinking about for the community management side of things, because again, part of community management is a cool thing, because it's almost like that CM is almost that it's almost like a mix of branding. When I say branding meets community, right? Because you're essentially, when I say community management, that looks different at different companies, but it is going to look like something that says, hey, like, how are you bringing a community around the shared vision, right? And that, to me, falls a lot under branding. And branding, again, if you're looking for potential like internships in the future, these are all, again, things that, whether or not in gaming, these are all going to be things that are just standard for community management, which will give you good experience. Branding, how do you represent a brand? How do you use the voice of a brand, right? Those are all things that I think about too. Something I'm kind of getting distracted. Softwares and programs is definitely something I look for, just kind of saying what your tech stack is. I'm going to add under here project management, and this is something that I really wish I had learned about this in school, but I didn't. But project management, like, what are the project management softwares used to keep on track? Are there things like that you can see? You know, those types of things that are working for you there as well. any project management software I think is something that could be good to track with. And I think there is like this suite of essentially content management. So I think of things like Notion, I think of things like Buffer, anything that's like using, you know, how you actually posting and taking care of the content are all kind of go under that software bucket. And definitely recognizing as students, right? The chances of you as a student having ability to say like, we grew our community to like 50,000 people, probably not super realistic, but you're still going to find places to have that impact, right? So think about those types of things. If you're managing, if you're a student project, if you're managing stuff for a game, if you're saying, hey, this is a student game, how many, did you have a wish list on Steam? How many wish lists did you have? Those types of things could all be there as well. But again, those would be kind of the basic things I start for. And I do kind of like to think about it as like, what does it mean to be that kind of like branding representative? How are you bringing people in together about the values of the company? And I think this is like knowing values of a company /org. And I think this is kind of representative for student early career folks of like, how are you, whatever role that you're in currently, whatever experience you can have currently, how are you kind of representing the things that you're representing, right? Those would all be kind of things that I think about. Again, it's going to start with kind of software programs, kind of get into like numbers and metrics from there. But then to be thinking about it is like, hey, what are these things that you can have that experience of, whether or not it's on the gaming side of things. No, this is great. It's great to get asked with questions, because sometimes it's like doing these, I'm like, all right, these are the things I talk about a lot. But without like talking to someone else on the other side, it's like, all right, like I don't remember all the things that I actually get to talk about when I do this live. So okay, let's do another good question here. This is a super good question. I love this question again and again. This is all stuff, the reason I do this is because this is all stuff that I wish I learned in school, and I don't know what else. I was not getting taught this in school, so I'm doing this for past Luke. It's just as much as anybody else here. So let me read this out because it's a good question. For putting stuff on a resume, are you still including recent work experience or strictly experience related to that job? Yeah, that's great. This is going to be, I'll say this for like including recent work experience or just job related experience. This is such a good question, and I think this is actually going to be pretty standard across both kind of the gaming industry and anything else, right? The thing that I love showing on resumes and talking to people about resumes is I call it the relevant experience section. I cannot spell. Relevant experience section. So instead of, I think some people when they're taught to do resumes, it's almost like they're actually is not what do they call it? CVs, curriculum. I'm not even going to try to spell that. It's not a CV. So a CV is often something that you'll see kind of old school language, but it's typically something that's like your entire work experience, your entire life experience, everything, right? A resume is not that. So one of the biggest things that I tell students and early career folks is that your resume does not need to be your entire list of job experience from the moment you started getting a paycheck and contributing to a capitalist society to what you're doing now, even if it's not related to the role. I think for students, it can be helpful to put in stuff like, if you're working at the career center, working at the career center, or whatever it is, like working as a barista. I started off doing retail, working at REI. It could be helpful to note that on a resume because it is professional experience. It says, hey, it tells me looking for a student early career hires, it tells me, hey, someone else hired you, which is a good thing to see. You're able to keep a job. You got a paycheck, you know how to do a schedule, you know how to work with other people, right? So those jobs are great. But the thing I'd focus most on is that relevant experience piece right here. How can you put the most relevant experience on your resume? So when you're thinking about what to include on a resume, experience related to that job, if you have student projects, I'd say relevant student / personal projects. Relevant student / personal projects. I almost want to say just as employment. I'm just gonna put it on there. Who's gonna judge me? All right, just as valid as job. So I think when especially you're applying for community management, if you're say, hey, I have been volunteering for, whatever it was I saw on here, whether it was like entry-level games, I've been jumping into like the ASGC, Discord, whatever it is. If you say, hey, I have been doing this cool volunteer experience with this community, awesome. Like, put that on your resume. That is relevant experience to community management, even if it's not paid. Cool, awesome, put that on there. Because you put relevant experience, you didn't put it total experience, it gives you leeway to be a bit more creative in terms of saying like, hey, I'm still going to put the things that are most closest to the job, whether it's student projects, personal projects, up at the top, but it's still going to put stuff at the bottom that you can put like barista, student worker, those types of things there too. Because I definitely see students that I'm like, hey, you're working on some really cool projects, like put those farther up on your resume, put those closer to the top. Tell me more about your student projects. Tell me less about your experience at Starbucks, you know? That'd be my short answer to that. I talk about that a lot because I think, again, the people, and I think because resume, when you download a resume template, it says, you know, it's often like experience and it has the dates. And so I think the pressure is to like fill in those dates from like, again, your first job in capitalist society to what you're doing now. But you have some flexibility. If you put relevant experience, you put the coolest things up top. You can play around with the dates. Maybe still start with the thing you're currently employed doing, whether it's a part-time job or not. But the relevant experience, again, the one of the biggest things I say is have that big master resume, tweak that resume towards each individual job post rather than thinking about it as like one resume for all the jobs you ever will be applying for, if that makes sense. Yeah, great question. All right, I'm starting to lose my voice because I've been talking all day, but thanks for dropping in. It's super fun to actually be answering questions live instead of just doing stuff on the YouTube. So hopefully it's helpful. Again, future YouTube, I'll chop this up and share those out there too. But I'm gonna take a break and be back and probably jump on some video games a little bit. So catch y'all on the flip side in a little bit. And we're back with a little bit at deadlock time.
Evil stirs in New York, and so the Vatican has.
Not gonna lie, Venator seems dope. All right, so how's my audio going? All right, check audio, check. Hello. What the heck happened to my audio? Hello. Huh. Fascinating. Is that a Twitch issue or something else here? All right, check. Hello. Why is my audio not working? Or is that just my bad headphones? Is that any better? Hello. Uh-huh. All right, what about now? Is that any better? No, that's like no better, huh? Oh wait, are we back? Was it just my headphones the whole time? I think it was just my headphones the whole time. All right, so let's keep going. Let's see how this guy feels. Bum. All right, so
Let him come for me.
okay, good trap.
You'll never stop me.
Into the trap.
Dies today.
Just cool, like railgun. Okay, that's dope.
My work will not be deterred.
Okay, I feel like he's gonna be pretty fun. Not gonna lie.
We all have less than 24 men and women have the honor of being called Venator. The title is a source of much pride. The work that I am sometimes called to do. Here's a taste of what awaits them.
Oh, I see this. It's not very long range, does it?
Ah, damn you! You won't harm me.
Okay, it doesn't seem like that range stacks at all, does it?
They'll walk right into this.
Okay,
The
interesting.
wicked will die at my hand. Time to end their miserable existence.
Doesn't have that paradoxing, does he? Dang, that is an insane amount of damage.
There are no innocents here.
There's no way that doesn't get
Spreading fire!
fixed there.
Burn! I'll burn them! I want them to burn!
Okay. Interesting, interesting. Let's see what people are building for him here. Alt max, only fight with Alt. Cool, thanks, Metro. Interesting, interesting. Yeah, good. Excited to do some graves. Love the music. Is the music different? I haven't noticed that the music's different on different patrons now.
This was one of the first things my mentor taught me. Sentries up.
Going to shop.
Stay strong, buddy.
Cracking scope.
Ooh, that was lucky. I should not have meleeed that. Okay.
Going to
Okay.
shop.
I say I don't mind the change to her gun range so far. It's not too bad.
If they get close, kill them. This should make them stop and rethink their choices. Do your can afford something.
Going to shop.
I got one of those for the missus. Fix it.
Her gun is definitely gonna take some getting used to here.
Forward.
Good luck not getting shot.
Bridge buff is up. Gun on your guys' head if one of you wants to grab it.
Your valor is rewarded.
Going to shop.
Now, do I just like pop her ult whenever, or do I try to like pair it with something? I feel like I kind of want to do it, right?
The dead demand justice.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of just want to do it.
Going in. Singularity's ready.
Animals. Don't come closer.
Don't mind that ult there. Man, it is hard with their gun sometimes.
Good luck completing the ritual.
Hit anyone who gets.
Thanks.
The dead's wrath will be felt.
The Archmother offers
Stay away from me.
That was good to dodge that
Healing
sucker.
rights on cooldown.
Before you set off.
Slow them down. Nice try.
Oh, he hit the thing. Oh man, that's fun.
Our blue guardian has been destroyed.
I'm gonna go try for the life buff over here.
I see Yamato. I see Yamato.
Singularity's on cooldown.
The spirit urn is waiting to be claimed.
Ready to call on the dead.
The bone is there.
Ooh, that's a lot of nice. I'll take that.
Our green guardian has been defeated.
Sheesh. We're gonna need something here, guys.
Our blue walker is under attack.
The dead will surround them. The bones will protect us.
I see Infernus.
Yes, Viper. Slaughter them all.
Thank you.
Reload takes so long.
The momentum's going my way. Thanks.
I see Infernus.
Wanna buy a mug to go with your gun?
Ready to put these guys to work.
There was a time when people valued my services.
Our blue walker is under attack.
Death is coming. Cross the line if you dare.
Let's take out Warden.
Our green walker is under attack.
Stay safe out there.
Someone will be by any time now.
Okay. This might be a little bit of a tough push here.
Excellent work, Professor.
2 yellow. I'm not entirely sure I can hold this by myself.
I'll take all the help I can get.
Yep.
Our yellow guardian has been defeated. The Venator
I cannot hold it by myself.
fervor.
That's unfortunate.
Walker is under attack.
Yeah, those minions did a ton of damage in like 5 seconds.
Gift.
Defend green.
Cracking skulls.
Our green Walker is under attack.
The dead lend their aid. No de levels and feelings would There is the meaning of Kokoro Awara.
Take a healing right.
The spirit urn is waiting to be claimed.
Headed to green.
Five, 6, 7. All right.
Go out there and impose your will.
Defend Greenwich.
I see Yamato.
Evil times.
A Venator will not be denied.
Oh my gosh, Venator. That was wild.
Like wheat.
Headed to Broadway.
They took out. Fear me! Throne Ward!
Broadway needs help.
Our blue Walker is under attack.
Animating skulls. Damn it, they got away.
Defend Greenwich.
Where the hell did they go? The bones will protect us.
I'm coming,
back.
coming, wizard lady. We can jump on that Infernus if he's still around.
I see Infernus. Headed to York. I see Infernus.
Stay away.
Thank you. Let's get this party started. Let's push yellow.
Well, let's counter push at least. I think that's kind of done.
Has been defeated.
If they get close, kill them.
Well, we tried. A lot of spell stuff, huh? Yeah, definitely need that scene. Not doing too bad. We got 2. I'll clean up green a little bit here. Oh, unless you go on silver.
The bones dance.
Most of you will be happy to enjoy your stay here.
Our green walker is under attack.
I am the Reaper's handmaiden. You took out the Venator.
Silver is helping to track the
Sorry, Venator.
all
Tried.
down.
We make a good team.
Gonna try to grab
Singularity is on
casting.
cooldown.
The spirit urn is waiting to be claimed.
Headed to blue.
Yeah, I gotta remember Arcane Surge. I need to remember Arcane Surge. I need to remember Arcane Surge.
Cracking skulls.
Head to Greenwich.
We'll still take them out.
Oh, no one's getting in our way.
Stop them. I know what you did in front.
Thank you, Viper. Bind us, bind us.
I see Yamato.
Okay, I probably need to
I
get out
see
of
the
here.
doorman.
He went low, he went low. Yeah, there he is.
In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti.
I see the doorman.
Nice. That was awesome. Good finish.
The urn is ours.
We should never cross the dead.
I really should buy.
The bones are dead.
I see haze. Headed to yellow.
Yeah, I should buy, I should buy. Don't be greedy, don't be greedy.
We live in interesting times, don't we?
Headed to York.
What do we think, boys? Think we can get this yellow?
Channeling the dead.
We got 3 yellow, looks like. Panic there a little bit, not gonna lie. Really want to get that additional target. Where the heck did he go? I'll go green. I'll go green. Or blue, I guess.
Shouldn't you be in class? I'm just kidding, I don't care.
Thank you.
Animating defenses.
The spirit urn is waiting to be claimed.
The dead will surround them. I got some friends who would love to say hi. Keep running, you coward!
Nice.
Oh, Viper,
Good stuff, good stuff.
you are so beautiful.
Thanks. Let's push blue.
Evil dies today.
The bones will protect us. Maybe she's not as bad as I thought. Great job. Do your thing, boys. Dead rock will be felt. You want to see that again?
Yeah, these guys ain't putting up much of a fight.
I should probably go. I gotta reset. I can go green. Yeah, let's get cooldown for show.
Our green walker is under attack.
Headed to green.
Here's your chance.
Thanks.
I love seeing the little pops when my minions from somewhere get on somebody.
Do your thing, boys.
3 dead. I think I can push this one more. Yeah, I can definitely
The
push this
bones
one
will
more.
protect us. I'm not playing around.
Man, that's tempting for a mid. Never mind. Not tempting for a mid.
Your support. They have no answers for you, Viper. Go, child, and eradicate them.
Animating skulls.
wonder if I can take this. Yeah, I definitely can take this. I gotta remember to do this more. The big camps.
Headed to blue.
I see the enemy.
Your stay will be yours. Enjoy
Good
our
lord, how did he know I was there?
I feel like Lash in a room full of bebop.
Defend green.
waiting to be claimed.
Headed to Greenwich. Spirit jar is here.
I'm gonna say yellow, but
Our
it's not
green walker is under attack.
catch up.
It pays having a bunch of skulls lying around.
Our yellow walker is under attack.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm coming. I'm coming.
The rejuvenator is descending.
We have the.
Thank you.
Good stuff, guys. Good stuff.
Let's take out Infernus.
The Venator fights with fervor.
I know a theater kid when I see one.
That's my
Headed to
favorite
green.
line for Graves. I know a theater kid when I see one. It's so funny.
If they get close, kill 'em.
This one shot with that, bro.
Be Reviver. You are the perfect accomplice.
Yeah, Venator's ult seems a little broken. Not gonna lie.
The dead lend their aid.
The righteous have nothing to fear from me.
They only have one left. The wolf preys on our enemies.
Can you not parry this anymore? Maybe you can't parry that anymore.
Gorgon special.
Guys, why do you keep fighting me? You know what's gonna happen.
He thinks he's smarter than he is. Slow them down.
Care for your team. Your students.
Hit anyone who gets close. I will strike them down.
That was awesome. Thank you, zombies. Yes, thank you, zombies.
Good game.
That was awesome. Good games, guys. Good games. Okay, how do we do? 18, not super great, but she's fun. I guess 12,000 objective damage is more than their entire team combined. Jeez, how is that possible? Okay, definitely on what's last here. Yeah, come on. I think I do like her though. I think I do like her more than I thought the first game. She got some of these other builds here. I mean, that seems fun. Mercurial Magnum.
Shouldn't you be in class? I'm just kidding, I don't care.
Shouldn't have gotten in my way. Do your thing, boys.
That seems fun. Okay, we're doing this one next, I think. I hate Mina, that's funny. What is, he doesn't have Quicksilver in here though, does he? Hmm. Yeah, here we go. Rem game, let's go. Let's go. All right, yeah, we're definitely do this one again, I think.
The Hidden King is here to guide you to victory.
Let's try Death East. Yeah, let's try Death East. Helpers, huh?
Friends.
Interesting.
I know it'll help me. I can get something.
Yeah, I definitely want to get that ASAP.
Good luck.
Not a good first sign on the Warden lane. Oh, this is gonna be a disarming hex one, isn't it?
Stomp's almost ready.
Good lord. Man, the matchmaking in this has been a little wonky lately.
Thank you. I like my pillow. You're not nice.
Your destiny.
Move up! They're great at shuffleboard. I'm a friend. You're the best.
I see the enemy.
We are gonna be very hard to kill once we get up and running here. Start me hex.
Where'd my new friend go? Next time.
Greenwich is under attack.
I'd be missing.
My bad.
Guides, an Oathkeeper fight as one.
Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, I really just got helpers.
I'm helpful. Hi, friends. They do lots of things.
Ivy's missing. I see Ivy.
We're friends.
They've taken our green guardian.
Pull back.
Don't mind the blood.
Stay away.
Be brave.
I'm ready, but I'm tired.
Greenwich is under attack.
Come jerk.
Okay, how's the rest of our guys doing here? Not great, not great.
I'm just gonna close my eyes for a second.
Almost had the healing. Good lord, they're deep. Why am I stuck? Okay, that sucks. That was a rough lane.
Our yellow walker is under attack.
Man, I don't like these.
I need to see what they have at the store.
Okay, I need to be grabbing some stuff here.
Mid boss has arrived.
Let me help. I can get something really cool now.
The spirit urn is waiting to be claimed.
Jeez.
Our yellow walker is under attack.
Headed to York.
In retrospect, probably shouldn't have put two support options together against gun stuff there.
Damn it. Leave us alone. Headed to Broadway. Ready for a slumber party. Nice. Let's stick together.
Keep throwing your lives away. I'll be ready.
Be patient.
Okay, let's go yellow here. Trying to get that stupid walker, I think.
The urn has been dropped.
Oh, I should have bought. Oh well.
Let's push York.
Someone could pick me up. It would be much appreciated.
Pull back!
I know you'll help me.
The spirit urn is waiting to be claimed.
It's too yellow. I don't think I can hold it. If they push, I don't know if they're gonna push it or not.
CIP. Need help
Thank
on
you.
yellow.
I don't have any minions. I don't think I should be by myself over here. I should be with the team.
I'll burn 'em!
I'm glue. This party's fun.
Ready for Betty Bite.
They after this. They took a Venator.
The spirit urn is waiting to be claimed.
This story isn't over.
Yeah, definitely need disarming. Don't think I can do that. Don't think I can do that. On sleep. Inventory on vault. Okay, we'll try it.
Headed to yellow. I'm here.
I see you, Walden.
Sleep's on cooldown.
Headed to blue.
They destroyed the Guardian on Blue.
They do lots of things.
Pull back.
A green walker is under attack.
You never should have come here.
We can't let the gargoyles
Four
destroy
yellow.
us.
4 yellow.
Broadway is under attack. York is under attack.
Team. Number part. I like naps.
What?
I see Paige.
Me and die.
Come help!
Okay.
Nice work.
Move up!
Geist and Oathkeeper fight as one.
I see Paige.
We can still kill the Sandman.
Deadland Parade.
Okay, that's better. That's better.
Headed to green.
Head to Broadway.
Getting there. We're getting there. Healing Nova. Man, let's look this Healing Nova.
A Green Walker is under attack.
Let's go mid.
Don't be a jerk.
A Yellow Walker is under attack.
Thank you.
Oh, great, Lash.
Headed to York.
The Spirit Urn is waiting to be claimed.
Who's ready for bed? Be warned.
To blue.
A Blue Walker is under attack.
They help. Tide runs.
They've destroyed our Blue Walker.
About to get his legs broken.
I will not be
There we go,
forgotten.
guys.
They do lots of things. Headed to yellow.
Our Yellow Walker is under attack.
Come help. Ready for night-night.
Right, Dynamo. This is revenge. Right here, if they push. Revenge.
No.
That is the spirit.
Get out of here. you.
Good lord, that haze is messing with me. Okay, what do I think? 16 seconds. We're gonna lose yellow. Yeah, we're losing yellow. Maybe we can save green.
They've destroyed our Yellow Walker.
Headed to Greenwich.
Leave us alone. Hi, friends.
You would think someone would be interested.
Don't like that sound.
Pull back.
The spirit urn is waiting to be claimed.
If you like that, I got some other stuff that fell off the truck.
Headed to Green.
My new game plan is just stay the hell away from haze.
Don't be a jerk. They help.
Nope. 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 Nope.
Pull back.
Okay.
They're great at shuffleboard.
I can put them to sleep now.
I know you'll help me. Oh God.
The urn has been dropped.
You got expensive.
The urn has been dropped.
I love it.
Nothing like a little terrifying that right there.
They help.
Haze needs to be contained. They claimed the urn.
Well, our Geist is good, I guess.
The
rejuvenator is descending.
We need to regroup and have a plan. You make me feel safe.
They've destroyed our Green Walker.
That's gonna help keep your blood on the inside.
Ref game.
They'll walk right into this.
This is just the beginning.
Defend the stronghold.
I am gonna complete this ritual, and there is nothing you can do about it.
Woof. Woof, woof, woof. That was rough. Not too much. I don't know if there's a lot else here. Yeah, sheesh. It's not a good game for Rem here.
Defend the stronghold.
Naps are fun.
Our victory will be glorious.
And we don't get no mid.
See silver. Hi, friends. Let's push green.
I don't think I'm using the tunnels enough in this.
Silver. Come help. I gotta spend these souls.
We delivered the urn. craftsmanship.
Let's see what else I can be doing here. Someone's in our jungle. Taking our doubles right here.
Added to blue. Thanks, great at shuffleboard. They do lots of things.
Allow the Hidden King to open your third eye. Defend the stronghold.
Headed to green.
Justice.
Okay.
I see Warden.
Should be with the team.
Mid-boss has arrived.
You're not nice. Let me know when you want us to go to bed.
Defending.
Years now, but he still can.
Regroup and have a plan.
Pull back!
I'm in the wrong freaking tunnels. Well,
I see
we'll never
haze.
see it coming. Never see it coming.
Pull back.
They will return, and we must be ready. The spirit urn is waiting to be claimed.
They took out Darn.
Time to let out the beast.
GG's.
Good game. Good game.
Wish I could see what rank that was because that did not feel fair. Well, good stuff. Graves team is fun. Yeah, not a good game. Archon 3, yeah, right. I wonder what that actually was. Alright, well, GG's everybody. GG's.